The One and Only Bob, Part 3. We're beginning on page 234. The title is Coward. I was afraid. A coward. There's a certain freedom that comes with owning your faults. The wind. Every day I went looking for Boss, up and down that same barren stretch of highway. Sometimes I'd catch a hint of something hopeful on the air and think it was my sister's scent. I'd be certain the breeze had brought me her voice, like an invisible gift. The wind can really mess with your head. Enough. After a while, I stopped going to the highway, stopped looking. It was a relief to give up. I had enough to worry about. My paddles. As I run from the park, I keep hearing my sister's yelp in my head. Still, with every step, my doubts grow. Sometimes we hear what we want to hear. The animal shelter is close, just down the street, but there's nothing quick about the trip. Water rushes past like a raging river. The sun's been swallowed by black clouds. I pick my way through muddy front yards, avoiding the worst of the water. I ain't much of a swimmer. Doesn't come up much in my line of work, though I do a passable dog paddle. The problem is my paddles. My paws are tiny. Not much to work with when you're fighting a flood. I see a couple humans with flashlights carving tunnels in the sheeting rain, but mostly the street seems eerily abandoned, especially after the chaos of the park. The shelter is at the bottom of a slight hill. Rain's pooled outside the front door, despite a pile of sudden sandbags. A police car is out front, parked at an odd angle. I find some footing on a large rock near the door. Takes me 3 slippery tries, but I manage to leap onto the topmost sandbag. I bark with all I've got, but I might as well be voiceless between the wind and the rain and the howling animals begging for escape. Inside, I pause to listen. I hear humans shouting, and I can make out what sounds like police radio chatter, but I don't hear Boss. I'm right here, right at the source. Nothing. It wasn't her bark I heard. She's dead, and I'm crazy and hearing things and drenched and shivering. And where is Julia? Where is George? Hey, little guy. The door eases open just a crack. Every bone in my body, every smart part of my doggy brain says, run. This is an animal shelter, a flooding one apparently. My sister isn't here, and I still have to find George and Julia. The door moves. Swoop. Make a prediction. The loop comes down around my neck so fast that for a moment I don't know what it is. It's like a cowboy's lasso. The kind of an old Western movie I used to watch with Ivan. But this lasso is at the end of a long metal handle. And at the end of the long metal handle is a man. Stay calm, buddy. The man eases me gently but firmly off the sandbags and through the door. I'm inside the wow big house. The hound pound. The pet pokey. Oops. The return of Snickers. The man pulls me along with his lasso. I decide not to argue. We enter a small room stacked with animal-filled metal cages, and I am assaulted by howls and hisses. The cold water on the floor sloshes as we walk, just skimming my belly. As bad as my smeller is, I instantly pick up on one distinctive odor. It's like the world's worst perfume, the kind old ladies emit, the kind people spray on their dogs to camouflage their lovely dog stink. The kind Snickers wears. I catch a glimpse of her in an upper cage, beraggled bow in her droopy hair. Snick, baby, fancy meeting you here, I say. You look good behind bars. Hairbrain, she replies. Hey, calls a rabbit 2 cages down. Watch your language. Mac couldn't deal with you, I ask Snickers. He brought me here because he thought it would be safer. Seems he may have been mistaken, I say, carefully grabbing my scruff. Cowboy lifts me into an upper cage. He pulls the lasso loose and shuts the barred door. I'm not happy, but it's a relief to be out of my noose. That thing around his neck is called a noose. Oh, great. Another one, calls a woman wearing tall rubber boots. She pauses in the doorway. I thought we were turning people away. People, yes, says Cowboy, but this pup came solo. Tick-tock, folks. says an older, ruddy-faced officer. He's holding a radio in one hand and a flashlight in the other. You are running out of time. We hear ya, but first we've got to move everybody who's lower level, boot size. Last hurricane, we had 2 feet to deal with. I swear they're getting worse. Climate change, says the officer. What are you gonna do? More than you're doing, says Boots. That much is for sure. I'll move the dogs from room 2, Cowboy offers. There are only a couple on the bottom level. We're out of cages, though. We've got to double up. Make a prediction. Put that little female in with the new guy, says Boots. They look like twins. I'm shivering, and it's not because I'm cold. I press my hurt nose to the metal bars. I smell something, I do. I hear something, I do. Cowboy returns, dog in arms. A bark? That bark. The cage to my cage opens. Hey, I say automatically, even as my heart is already whispering the truth to me. They call me Bob. They call me Boss, says the voice. But by now I know. Of course I know. And I'm howling with joy. Boss is his sister. Alive, thunder claps, shutters fly, windows rattle, water rushes, dogs whimper, cats howl, people yell, and all I can hear is my sister's voice. Catching up. We lick each other, sniff, yelp, circle, wrestle. Neither of us was ever the touchy-feely sort, but sometimes you just gotta let it all out. Wow, says Cowboy watching us. You'd think they knew each other. Tough. Boss isn't anything like I remember. She's scrawny and flea-covered. She's covered in fleas. Her left ear has a big notch in it. Her fur is dull, her body scarred, her tail cut short. I'm afraid to ask how that happened. She's clearly had it tough, really tough. I thought I heard you bark, I say, but then it stopped. Figured I was crazy. I was napping. In this chaos, I ask, I can sleep anywhere. It's a gift. Boss nibbles on a toenail. Funny thing is, I was having a dream about you. Must have caught a whiff of you in my sleep. I can't stop staring, Boss, here with me. What? She asks when she catches me looking at her. I was just wondering, I say, about your life. Do you have anybody? You mean humans? Nope. She gives a little flick to her stubby tail. Never have, never will. Boss has always been just loose, a stray dog. How sad. You've been on your own this whole time. I flash on my cushy bed, my lovely food bowl, the way everybody knows just how I like my ears scratched. Yep. How'd you end up here? I was out scrounging for food, just had another litter another litter of puppies, and I was tired, off my game. Animal control got me. She licks a nasty cut from her front paw. Wait, my ears perk up. So you have puppies? That would make me an uncle, a dog uncle, on top of being an honorary elephant uncle. Had the last batch 7, maybe 8 weeks ago. She scratches at a flea. Last batch, I repeat. You mean you've had others? Yep. What happened to them? Don't know. It's not like they come home for the holidays. Boss lies down on the old towel lining our cage. Or should I call you Rowdy? She considers. Nope. No, I like the sound of Bob. Me too. Anyway, Boss says, mostly they're dead, I'd guess. You never know, though. Maybe a few got rescued. She's so matter-of-fact, so resigned. This last litter, well, I thought I was onto something. Found this little car, you know, those ones that look like big old bug, abandoned right down by the creek near that bridge. Easy access through a hole in the floorboard, blanket on the back seat. She pauses. All the amenities. So they are living in an old broke-down car. How many puppies, I ask? 3, but only one survived, a male. The other 2 were pretty sickly, and well, you know. Something crashes into the front office. Sounds like a window was broken. We got to get out of here. An orange-striped cat howls. He throws himself against the front of his cage, then pokes out his paw, grabbing for the latch. I'm too young to die. When they caught me, Boss continues, ignoring the cat, I barked for the puppy to sit tight. Wait, told him I'd be right back. She sighs, nice. Last thing he'll ever hear was a lie. What's his name, the puppy? She looks at me like I asked her if she'd ever been to the moon. I don't name them, Bob. Just makes it harder. Below us, the water's slowly rising, filling the empty lower cages. We catch the humans rush back and forth, carrying buckets as if they can stem the tide. There's nothing to do, nothing to say, and nowhere to go. Not right. I stare at my sister and try to imagine all the pain she's endured. And here I thought I'd gotten the raw deal. To lose your pups, to wander alone, to struggle for every drop of water, every crumb of food. I mean, I experienced a little of that, but Ivan and Stella kept me going. And then Julie and her family. Why me? What's so special about me? Is it really that I'm more resilient, that I've made my own luck? And am I somehow better than Boss? More deserving? It's not right, I blurt. Not right, you should have had it worse than me. Well, if you want to talk about not right, you and I both had it a whole lot better than your siblings, Boss says. I will never forgive those people for what they did to us, I say through clenched jaws. Really? Boss seems surprised. If I held on to that much anger, I'd never get out of bed. Not that I've ever really had a bed. She sniffs at the towel beneath her feet. This towel's kind of nice, actually. I look at her in disbelief. You're one of those. Those dogs must forgive no matter what types. She almost looks amused. Well, it is kind of the right thing to do. When someone does something hurtful, they have to admit it, I say. Then they have to be punished for it. And then maybe if they apologize and change, maybe then you can get forgiven. All I know is I've done lots of bad stuff in my life, Bob. I've had to forgive myself plenty. Just, to get through the day. Boss gazes at me with her wise, weary eyes. And I figure if I'm gonna forgive myself, I'd better be ready to cut everyone else some slack too. Evacuate now! Look, says the officer, you need to evacuate now. It's mandatory. We can't just leave these animals. Cowboy sticks his finger in the orange cat's cage. The cat rubs against it, purring like his life depends on it, which is maybe kind of does. The officer sighs. You don't have a choice. We can't just leave them, says Boots. I have to applaud her enthusiasm, even as I wonder why she'd risk her life for us. There is no explaining humans. Just got word the bridge over Big Fork Creek collapsed, the officer says. You guys gotta move. Boots snaps his fingers. Wait, you have a cop car, right? Yes, I have a vehicle, ma'am, says the officer, but the way the roads are looking, probably not for long. Okay, says Boots, so we evacuate. We evacuate every last dog and cat and gerbil we can in your car. The officer purses his lips. And take them where exactly? Shelter at the high school. That's where we've been sending people. They're not really set up for it, but once we started flooding and the elementary school stopped taking pets, they agree to do what they can. The officer grumbles, goes for it. The three humans load cats and dogs, parakeets and hamsters, one after another into the police cars. Some are in cages and some, including a couple of unhappy cats, are on tug-of-war strings. Finally, it's our turn. Looks like there are 9 of us left. Cars full and then some. The officer reports struggling to shut the shelter's front door against the rising water. We are officially out of room. Cowboy looks at us, his eyes teary. Don't worry, fellas. We'll be back, he sniffles. I promise. You think we should have the cages open, at least give them a fighting chance, asks Boots, in case, Sure, but they couldn't handle this current. I can barely stand up. Cowboy shakes his head. Look, I'll borrow my brother's bass tomorrow. We'll come right back. Hopefully the water won't get much higher than this. Okay then, Boots gives a grim nod. Stay calm, friends. Like that's an opinion. We're going to stop.